Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the This Is the Music Meets Podcast, an independent podcast show that's dedicated to introducing you to rising indie and alternative artists from across the UK and Ireland. If you are new to the podcast, then please hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on any future episodes, and feel free to leave a comment as it will really help us beat those algorithms. It's now time for episode 113. And I'm delighted that rising Manchester solo artist Zeny Bux is today's guest. Over the course of the podcast, we're going to be talking about Zeny's debut EP, In My Vision, the challenges that grassroots musicians face, his thoughts on the current indie scene, his favourite albums of all time, and much, much more. So Zeny, welcome along to This Is the Music Meets podcast. Thanks for coming on for a chat. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks, Mark. I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me. It's a massive pleasure to come on.
Oh, well, it's great. It's great to have you here. And so just saying there before we started, thanks very much for coming on. It's really appreciated. It's guys like yourself that keep the podcast going by wanting to come on, and really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah, lovely. So we're recording this Sunday evening. We're recording this podcast. So how's your weekend been so far?
It's been going great, thanks. Things have been a little slow with booking gigs and whatnot. So it's sort of a bit on and off, but overall I'm doing well,
Yeah,
Doing
good.
very
Well,
well.
it's great to hear. And just before we sort of get into a little bit about yourself, obviously I know a few weeks ago you was at the Liam Gallagher show up there in Manchester for the Definitely Maybe
I was,
anniversary tour. So how was it for you?
Well, it was mental. I was really wanting to go to the front row, but I I was told that I had to sit on the seats and whatnot, and unfortunately, just I had to watch it from there. But overall, though, Liam sounded great. It was really great to see Bonehead back on stage with Liam as well,
Yeah.
and it was really great to hear some of the songs from the Definitely Maybe album as well as the B-sides. But you know what? One thing that I have a bit of a problem with the gig. One thing I have a bit of a problem is that Liam didn't really play Listen Up, and it's one of my favorite B-sides, I have to say,
Yeah.
by Oasis. But nevertheless, the gig was incredible. Comparing it to Nebworth, I'd say Nebworth was pretty much better because of John Squire coming up on stage. But yeah, I really did enjoy the new the 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 Liam Gallagher gig, as well as going to the new co-op venue. It was incredible.
Yeah. It's obviously had quite a bit of bad publicity, hasn't it? A few false starts and stuff like that. But yeah, it's good to hear that they've obviously finally got it opened. And I think as Liam said, roughly, I've got this right, about time that this opening this venue up properly type of thing. And it sounds like he
Yeah,
definitely did that.
yeah.
So, as I say, we've obviously got quite a lot to chat about with you regarding, your musical journey so
Yeah.
far. And I guess really it only seems fair, really, that we obviously start right at the very beginning because, all these journeys clearly have a beginning. So kind of like then, how did you sort of first get into music? Was there like a particular band's album or maybe a song that you heard and you just thought, wow, this is amazing?
Well, it all started, of course, by listening to music. As I was born in the 2000s, 2005, I always grew up with many different things, especially with Disney Channel and whatnot. So I used to listen to some music on there, and some songs I've heard on YouTube and as well and whatnot, and some songs that were heard by my brother that he showed me, and
Yeah.
it always it, it always caught my attention that I should start doing some singing, and I tried songwriting and I failed a few times, but when I picked up the guitar, that's when yeah, I started to learn the basics, chords and whatnot. And a few years later, as I progressed a lot more, especially during lockdown, I started writing songs, and yeah, here we are.
Yeah, no, definitely. So was the guitar then, was that all self-taught, or did you, sort of go through, like lessons or anything at all?
Yeah, it was pretty much both. So it was on YouTube. So yeah, I was self-taught. So I looked up on like guitar tutorials on YouTube and whatnot, and I was taught at school as well. So I had a couple of my music teachers help me with learning like the chords and whatnot, some easy chords, etc. And yeah.
It's just gone from there, and kind of like, then was there, can you maybe remember like the first song that you learned how to play on the guitar?
Yeah, originally I was very eager to learn to learn how to play the guitar, and I was into a lot of pop stuff, so I wanted to learn some songs by pop bands that I grew up with, like the Jonas Brothers, for example.
Yeah.
And I wanted to learn one of their songs called SOS. But obviously, yeah, I'd had to pick the guitar up first and start learning the basics. So major and minor chords and bar chords and power chords. And I think the first song I've learned was I believe it was Hound Dog by Elvis.
Right, nice. That's a good place to start. What a
Hmm.
tune, eh? So obviously your debut EP came out at the start of June. It's
Yes.
called In My Vision. And for
Yep.
those that haven't heard it, it really is it's a brilliant EP, full of bangers. It's pretty non-stop really from start to finish. And it's got that sort of classic indie rock sort of sound about it. And for those that as I say haven't heard Zeny before, we're going to pop that link to the EP in the episode bio. So do please go and check that out. Of course, after you've finished listening or watching the latest episode of the podcast. But for you, Zeny, how proud are you to have your debut EP out there in the world, and obviously having people listening to it?
I'm very proud. It was a lot of hard work, especially with being at the studio, because there were a couple songs that I didn't have the time to make a solo
Right.
with and whatnot. But with the release of my EP, nevertheless, it was an incredible thing, and it was a very big thing as well, considering that I've released some songs um for the first time, and it was pretty much, yeah, it was a massive journey for me.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I'm right in saying that you recorded the EP with a former guest of the show in Luke Owens from Shade. Um, so what was the experience like working with him?
It was great. It was really great. He always gave me tips and advice, and anything he says, I'll take it from him because he pretty much knows everything. And it was an honor working with him, really, because uh he said he's worked with doing like sound engineering or something, doing like sound checking and whatnot, which
Hmm.
I don't know if I could be wrong. I think it was the Blossoms or something he was doing sound engineering with, or some. I
Yeah,
can't
wow.
seem to remember, but yeah, it was really great working with him. I really enjoyed every minute, and I'm hoping, yeah, soon I'll get back into the studio with him and I'll start recording an album and have it released by next year.
Wow, that'd be amazing if on both fronts, I guess, really, to be able to get an album and working with Luke as well. But you just said there about there's a couple of songs that you didn't maybe necessarily, you were working on, that maybe didn't necessarily have a guitar solo for. So when you're going into the studio, is the song, or the songs that you went with, are they completely finished, or are you still working on bits as you're in there? What's the process like for you?
So when I go into the studio, I pretty much just spend as much as I can, to record the tracks for the EP. and it only took me at least 2 to 3, 4 hours to get it recorded and mixed and mastered and whatnot. So after I finished recording and whatnot, adding the guitar and vocals and harmonies and bass, etc., I just go home and chill while Luke just does the mixing mastering.
Brilliant. And in terms of like the running order for the EP, because this is always something I'm really sort of fascinated by. How do you like decide, oh, we're gonna put, Flame in there, track 3 or 4, whatever it was, and and whatever, or Better Dreams, how are you deciding? Is that solely down to you, or are you taking sort of advice from Luke in this instance?
It was pretty much down to me, really. I had the I had the choice to just add the tracks that I wanted to put on there, including Better Dreams and whatnot, etc. So pretty much it was all of my idea.
Yeah, sure, okay. And in terms of the EP, have you got a particular favourite, or is that too difficult a question to answer?
Well, oh geez, that is a complicated question. I'd have to say Better Dreams because it's a personal song to me, and I'd say it's one of my favorites that I've written. Well, I Need Time, I'd say, is one of my favorites that I've written, but Better Dreams is one of my favorite top songs that I've released and added to the EP and whatnot, because it pretty much got to everywhere and everyone loved it.
Mhm.
And yeah, Better Dreams
Yeah.
is my favorite.
Yeah, no, well, it's a great choice. It is a top tune. So I'm not. I had an inkling. I thought that you might have chosen that one. To be fair,
Of course,
so,
yeah.
yeah, good choice. I'm pleased that my guess was pretty spot on. So that's great. And just sort of away from the studio, so just talk about you, playing live, because you've been mixing with some pretty big names. It has to be said. So for those that aren't aware, you've played with Barry Sutton, obviously former guitarist of the Lars,
Yep.
and Chris Helme as well, of the Seahorses. So
Yeah.
what was the experience like getting to share a stage with a couple of bands and sort of individuals that are sort of Britpop royalty almost, really?
Well, with Barry, for a start, it was a really it was a really tense night, I'd say. Well, not all too tense, but I had a good night. I had a great time meeting people. I had a really great time meeting Barry's son Tom, which he helped me out with setting up and whatnot. And he was a really sound dude. And fun fact, actually, it was my first ever time playing a supporting slot, as well as playing somewhere far away,
Ah,
outside of
right,
Manchester.
okay.
So it was my first ever time playing in Liverpool, as well as supporting someone who's big. So
Yeah.
best of both worlds.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And how about with Chris? How was that like for you?
Well, with Chris, I had a great time supporting him. He said that he's heard me and says I have a really great voice, and he said I was a good guy. And
Oh, nice.
I had a great time just standing in the front row and just hearing him sing. And I thought I'd never get the chance to ever see Chris Helme live, let alone support him as well and whatnot. But one thing I'll never forget about him is the night when he called me a millennial head.
So what was the reasoning behind that then?
So basically, he was about to do "Love Is the Law," and he said he just went, right. Everyone clap your hands if you know this tune, and I just went, I can't. I'm holding my phone, and he just went, put your phone down, you fucking millennial. And everyone
Brilliant, love
laughing.
that.
But yeah, it was a great night. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, but back with Barry, I didn't really mention this, but at the end of the gig, I was gonna go and say thank you to him, but it sort of went a bit ugly, and he just turned around and just started, he just had a go at me, because I accidentally interrupted him, which I wasn't, I wasn't really intended to do, and so I said to him, "Look, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. That's my bad. I'm sorry." And he just kept saying, you shouldn't interrupt me. I was talking to my family and blah blah blah. And around that time, I was 16, so yeah, it was only 3 years ago, and yeah, it really it upsetted me, and he pretty much made me cry. So
Oh no, that's not
yeah,
nice at all, man.
but hey, that's musicians for you who stay in a band for several months and then just leave due to musical creatives. So there
No,
you go.
yeah, no, definitely, yeah, and sort of sticking with this, the live music, sort of chat because to be fair, you've got a busy, sort of ending, in of July because obviously coming up on July the 19th, you're going to be at Retro in Manchester supporting Ellipsis. I think I've pronounced that right. Apologies to this.
Ellipsis.
Ellipsis. Sorry, no, I didn't. So apologies there. My pronunciation's not the greatest. And then you're also going to be playing Venture Fest as well on July the 27th. So
Yep.
for those maybe that haven't seen you before, why should they come and see you play live?
Well, if they're into like such bands and artists like Oasis and the Stone Roses and the Lars and Pete Doherty and whatnot, then uh yeah, that's I think, yeah, they should come down, because that's sort of like my style, with playing songs, and I'm so
Sort
sorry about that talking.
No, no, you're right. So sort of like that kind of, sort of classic sort of, indie rock, sort of, rock and roll type of sound, yeah?
Yeah, yeah, you can say that.
Yeah, definitely. And kind of like what was I going to ask you now? What in terms of because Venture Fest that's a mixture of original artists and sort of cover bands. Have I got that right?
Yeah, yeah. There's artists and cover bands, and yeah,
Yeah, and have you played or been to Retro before? What sort of venue is that like?
I have. Yeah, I've played at Retro back in 2022. It was with Dusty Pop Entertainment. They did like a festival called Our Fest,
Right.
and it was a good day. Unfortunately, only at least two people, yeah, two, 3 people had came down to see me, and it was all right. It was a little bit dead and quiet, but it was all right, I guess. It was okay. So
And are these shows that you've got coming up, are they going to be like solo sets or have you got a band coming down with you? What's going to be your setup like?
well, pretty much it's just me, my guitar, and my mic, and the lead cable that plugs into from my guitar to the PA. So just me, let's just say.
Just you.
Just
Brilliant. Well,
me.
sometimes to be fair, I think that those um, sort of like acoustic style shows actually are sometimes better than, the full band ones because you as an artist, you've probably got to work that little bit harder. If you're playing with a full band and you make a mistake, sometimes you can hide behind a little bit, the other, like the bass or the rhythm guitarist or
Yeah.
whatever it might be. Whereas,
Yeah.
with an acoustic guitar, man, it's just you. You're up there, and full credit to you for getting out there and doing it because it's must be a tough gig sometimes.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. I did have a band actually back in 2021. We were an indie band, an indie Britpop band. We were called Toneside, and we were doing pretty well, rehearsal wise. Um, Unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to play at gigs and whatnot because around January 2022, we just sort of split now. But we're all still friends. It's just musical creative differences or whatever, and just yeah.
It's always the way that is, and obviously talking sort of about bands that are sort of trying to and artists that are obviously trying to make a bit of a way for making a name for themselves a little bit within the industry. It is obviously tough, as we all know. But you've recently set up a GoFundMe page, I believe. So yeah, just give us a little bit of background and sort of the thinking behind setting that up.
Yeah, so basically, with the GoFundMe page, it's to just fund my music, to afford equipment and whatnot, such as mics and cables, headsets, etc. For recordings, and also for like PR and distribution and studio work, and that's pretty much it, really.
Yeah, and what we'll obviously we'll put, as we said before, with the EP, we'll put that link in the episode bio as well for people if they want to make a little donation, no matter how big or small. I'm sure Zeny you'll appreciate whatever people can donate. But do you think that it's quite tough at the moment then for an artist, in terms of having to pay out? Obviously we saw those comments, didn't we, a few weeks back from the Spotify CEO saying, again, I
Yeah.
can't remember the exact quote, but you're nodding your head there and laughing as well. You know exactly roughly what I'm going to say. About music being cheap to make and stuff like that. But clearly
Oh,
that's
yeah.
that's obviously not the case from your experience.
Mm. Yeah, well, as time changes, um, sadly, yeah, it's a shame how music nowadays has just sort of dropped down, as with the lack of live music and whatnot. I just think, it's very unfair, and I have no one else to blame but fucking COVID. So, so yeah, thanks for that. But
Yeah.
we all gotta. The only way I'd say we all have to keep live music and music itself from just being stable and pretty much being to where it always should be, is that we should probably just stick together no matter what. Keep your circle small. Keep being part of communities, and just soon it'll all be a setting stone. So
Yeah,
yeah, I
definitely.
think
Well,
that's
yeah, it's tough out there, man. I speak to obviously quite a lot of artists and know and have some understanding of the challenges that you are all facing. And as I say, we'll put that GoFundMe link in the episode bio, and hopefully, we'll get a few people, making a little bit of a donation towards you to try and help you on your way. Obviously,
yeah.
as we said at the beginning of this episode, you're obviously based up there in Manchester. And I really just wanted to sort of, ask you really about why you think it always seems to be, that Manchester always seems to have probably the best bands, or certainly some of the top bands of any era, sort of, knocking around, go all the way back to sort of like, that late 80s, early 90s period. We had obviously Stone Roses, obviously Happy Mondays, Oasis, the Charlatans, and then, more recent eras, Cortinas, and then, in the last sort of 3 or 4 years, seeing emerging bands coming through such as Spangled, and Shade and Roller, just to name a few there. So
Yeah.
yeah, what is it about Manchester that there's this such great talent that just keeps coming through year after year?
I think I guess I don't know really. I suppose it's all Oasis's idea, um, and the Stone Roses and whatnot, and it just sort of made a connection.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't really have that much to say. Sorry.
Well, I mean, there's, those bands, for me, I guess for certainly the established bands there that we mentioned clearly defined or were part of defining a generation, depending on how big of a fan you were of each of those artists. But I think at the minute, with the newer bands that I've mentioned, Spangled, Shade, Roller, and I should give a mention as well to my old mate Roy from the Shed Project as well. Bands that just keep making such great tunes and have that energy, and I guess as well, probably above all else, maybe connecting with the listener in terms of like the lyrics and probably like the actual music as well that they're making.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what we like to try and do on every This Is the Music Meets podcast is we ask all of our guests a series of questions that are sort of designed to be a little bit more light-hearted and try and help the listeners find out a little bit more about you, the artist. So the first question is sort of what artist on the underground sort of grassroots new music scene have you been checking out over the last 12 months or so?
Well, the last bands and artists that I've been checking on recently, God, I've been checking quite a few, loads actually, loads of bands. To name a few, I'd suppose, I guess Shade, because I've been working with Luke
Yeah.
for those past months. So Shade, I've been, been listening to quite a lot, and Alex Spencer, I've been hearing him quite a lot. So
Yeah.
Alex, and oh God, what else? There's so many bands that I've listened to, so many artists. Jace Campbell, I've listened to him. Jace Campbell.
Love Jace, yeah.
Yeah, word of mouth is one of my favorite ones by him. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a banger to be fair. Yeah, I love Jason and Alex is pretty cool and obviously Shade as you mentioned as well. Yeah, loving that. Yeah, three top answers there, man. Loving that. So you're allowed to see one final song from your favorite artist in your favorite venue. Who are you choosing?
I'd say Liam Gallagher
Yeah.
live at either Wembley or the Etihad. Actually, I say Wembley because it's quite bigger
Yeah.
than all stadiums, I believe. So yeah, Liam Gallagher live at Wembley, singing one of my top favorite songs by the band, which is Morning Glory.
That's a banger,
With
isn't it?
Noel on the stage, and Bonehead, and Gwigsy, and then Alan White or Zach Starkey or probably Chris Sharrock on the drums.
I could all do get all three of the drummers up there. That'd be cool.
Sure, yeah, fuck it, why not?
Yeah, when that tune used to open up back in the day with the I think it was Main Road in particular. They did the just before they come out to do Swamp Song, just with all the helicopters and all of that in the background. How that song starts off is it sort of makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. Yeah, top tune. Loving that choice. And what then are your top three albums of all time?
Oasis, What's the Story, Morning Glory, the Stone Roses debut album, and The Lars. This is a self-titled album.
Yeah, oh, that's great, man. Loving those choices. Yeah, three legends of Manchester music, and three top albums. What would be your dream collaboration?
Ooh, dream collaboration. Normally I'd say Liam Gallagher, but my dream collaboration would definitely be with Lee Mathers of the Lars. That's my dream collaboration. But considering that Lee's always been with the band, well, not anymore now. But with the Lars being the same over the years, especially with the 2005 reunion, I don't really see that Lee's collaborating much. Well, he's never really collaborated before. Only with doing like supporting slots with the Pete Doherty and that's just basically it. Just doing a tour with Pete Doherty. That was in 2009. So yeah. I'd love to work. I'd love to collaborate with Lee Mathers, but if not, then I'd have to say then probably Ian Brown, or I guess the Gallagher brothers.
Get
That's
him
if they
back.
get back to.
Zenny's
That's
going
if
to
they
bring
get back
get the
together.
band back. So, what other plans have you got in place? Sorry, for 2024. What can we expect from you from on the musical front?
Well, I'm hoping around August or September time, I'll start releasing more new music, as well as try and play more gigs. And hopefully, yeah, fingers crossed. When I release my next single, and around November, December time, it gets to the charts. So we'll see from there, and you'll be seeing more interviews, I guess. Tomorrow I've got an interview with Ian Key from Louder Than War.
Oh, lovely, nice. That's yeah. Heard some good things about Ian, and yeah, obviously with the promise of new music as well. That sounds like it's going to be a pretty busy few months for you.
Yeah, yeah, it's going to be quite busy indeed. So yeah.
Brilliant. Well, it's great to hear, and obviously good luck with those bits and pieces, and obviously the gigs as well that we've just mentioned
Thank you.
earlier on in the podcast as well. Just keep getting your name out there, man. That's all you can do, really.
I will do.
But look, Zeny, unfortunately, that is the end of the This Is the Music Meets podcast. Thank you,
Oh,
thank you. No one's ever done that before. I hope that's a good thing. Look, thank you so much for coming on and giving up your time on a Sunday evening as well.
yeah,
It
of
it
course.
is greatly appreciated. But before I do let you go, can you just let the This Is the Music listeners know what social media platforms they can find you on?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. Um, I used to be on Twitter, but I've pretty much left now. I'm on TikTok and YouTube, and of course, the music platforms: Spotify, Deezer, Apple, um, Amazon, etc., etc. And yeah, that's where you'll find me.
Brilliant, great stuff. Well, look, we'll put those links in the episode bio, along as well with the GoFundMe link that we mentioned earlier, and obviously as well the EP link as well. Look, Zeny, thanks very much for coming on. Keep grafting, keep doing what you're doing, mate. You've written some really good tunes. That EP, in
Thank
my
you.
vision, is really strong. And just keep doing what you're doing, mate. You've clearly got a good passion for it. And as I say, thanks very much for coming on and being a guest on the latest episode of the This Is the Music Meets podcast.
Yeah, pleasure. Thank you for having me, Mark.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for coming on, mate.
Thank you. Thank you too.
And all that leaves me to say is to thank everyone for tuning in to the latest episode of the This Is the Music Meets podcast. Please subscribe so you never miss out on any future episodes. And if you're loving the podcast, show us some love by leaving us a 5-star rating and written review, as it really does help the artists we interview to be discovered. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you very soon for another episode of the This Is the Music Meets podcast.